8:17. It's time for Island Tea. We are Island Tea here. Here we go. It's Tuesday, February 20th. And we've got 9 days left in February 2024, a leap year. And, I think that the month is moving entirely too fast. What's up, guys?
We're wonderful. How are you doing?
Well, we'll get into it afterwards.
No problem. Well, we have some tea over here. I have cinnamon. It's to ease stress and tension. And what do you have in yours?
A whole bunch of stuff.
Johnson, what's in your cup?
Coffee.
Coffee. I would like some coffee.
Yeah.
But today I have sorrel. It has in a bit of collagen. It has in cinnamon, coriander for cleansing, and then it has in some moringa for nutrition.
Okay, you win. You win.
Moringa for what?
You win. Just take the cup and go.
The funny thing is, right? You can do moringa any other day and say something else, and you'll still be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a pleasant morning to everybody. It's February 20th. Indeed, I hope that everyone is having a wonderful day. It's Tuesday. See, it's a bit of a traffic out there, Chev, isn't it? You want to tell us about it?
My God. Well, I am coming from what that would be east.
Mm-hmm.
So all the entrance roads to get down here totally jammed.
Mm-hmm.
Past someone was like, what's going on there? It's an accident. Try to go on to the other one. That was even worse. And you're moving slowly because apparently down there, just after the fuel area there, there's a truck turned over. It was carrying the gas tanks. You know, the gas tank people cook with? The little ones they look LPG, like. I don't even know if it's the little one or the big one, but I was too far. And totally turned over. So when we thought that the first route we avoided the accident route, that was backed up as a result of that. So then now we had to turn around, go back up, go back in the crawling line, turn up by Value Mart, go up through, reach Alger Taylor's, come down, past government quarters, all kind of thing, just reach across the Bay Road so I can actually get to the studio.
So did any of the tanks get thrown off of the
the truck you could see it like broke down the side of it. So some are like they're on the ground, but thankfully
they were empty. Well,
I hope because what was that Delta?
Oh, the one all
it's just a little down from it.
Oh, okay.
So you could imagine if something had spark. So I was like, bye, fear to even go studio. No, a little too close for me.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just up there,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it was already excitement for the morning.
Yesterday we discussed the water increase of potable water for Antigua and Barbuda. And then just last evening I saw articles circulated in our chat about Nevis. Yeah. So if
I hope they ain't got saying kids watching us over there, because we ain't had no improvements yet.
Yeah, so perhaps for persons who are not aware, we could indicate to them. I'm looking in the chat and it says here, and it says, please note, and it's coming from the Ministry of Communications, Works, Water Services, Physical Planning and Environment, Post Labor and Disaster Management, and it is coming from the Nevis Island Administration, Nevis Water Department, and the motto, Water is Life. And it says, please note that as of March 1st, 2024, there will be an increase of our water rates. This adjustment is intended to improve our water quality and the services we provide to our consumers. And so it's from the Nevis Water Department water rate, and it has the rates, it has the category, it has domestic, needy, senior, hotel, commercial, industrial. It also has irrigation, farmers, trucking. So based on the category that you're in, a different rate will apply to you. And looking at what I'm seeing, the lowest rate is, well, they're saying here, seniors, no charge, less than 3,000 gallons, no charge. And for the needy, I'm seeing $3.90 per month flat rate. So those are the two lower ends.
Wow.
Yeah. If I were to look at the higher end or the highest end, I'm seeing as high as $100, and that's for trucking. $100 per 1,000 gallons. That's for trucking. So trucking has the higher end of the price, whereas
Trucking, explain that. What do you think that means?
when I say trucking, I think if trucking with trucking services.
Also, maybe if you're somebody who
Cons-
delivers, maybe if you're delivering water to someone, you have to pay maybe a slightly different rate.
I will have to
And
go into
if
that,
you-
but
Yeah.
to be clear, because
Yeah.
trucking, I would think it means our trucking services. I don't think it might be limited to water. I don't know. Maybe
No, it has to be water,
Yeah.
because if it's about water, you see what I mean? Because if you think about it logically, if it's a situation where someone, maybe a private supplier, has a water delivery service,
Yeah,
obviously
of
they
course.
have to go somewhere to get the water,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it says
meaning
trucking,
that's
so
why-
I guess we could look into it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's look into it. It's about that's on the higher end, and the lower end is again seniors. So if you're less than, let me clarify, because it has two categories of seniors. When you're looking on your phone, it's so difficult sometimes. It's two categories of seniors, and it says if it's less than 3,000 gallons, it's no charge. If it is above the 3,000 gallons, then it's $20 per 1,000 thereafter. And so again, still needy still is to me the lower end, because you get that flat rate of 3
what's
point.
the, when do you become needy? Like when
And
you're unemployed? Or?
I guess these are things that the department would have to clarify.
Because I'm sure a lot of people just became needy just hearing it.
Yes.
I would like to know.
So it says also that the Nevis Water Department extends heartfelt gratitude to our valued customers for your understanding as we strive to deliver the highest quality of water service. We strongly encourage all consumers to practice safe water conservation practices. Remember, the more you conserve water, the more you save. That is so true. And so that's from the Nevis Water Department. And I just thought it's coincidental that we spoke about Antigua and Barbuda yesterday and their increase for water.
Well, I saw in the similar vein to what I saw happening in Grenada. We spoke about it yesterday with them halting the raw nutmeg and chocolate export this morning. And I heard about it, but I just getting more details now. So I'm seeing that Guyana has begun a regional cargo ferry, and it is said to be key to integration and trade. And this stood out for me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, because if I want to ship products to Jamaica, even to Guyana, I was trying to get some freight to Guyana for somebody. It was so difficult. And there are not enough inter-island transportation services, especially for cargo. If I want it to go to Jamaica, I'm being told it has to go to the U.S. And then that's a whole lot of set of trouble.
That's crazy.
Right? And so this is like, it'll show me that because even if you look at most of the cargo services, they're based out of England or out of the States. And I don't mean like the local ones that just hop between the OECS islands or the St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua vibe. So if we as a region had to really take a more integrated approach, like I don't have to necessarily be having my eyes on America per se, when I have from Guyana down in the south come straight up to Cuba, Jamaica, them kind of thing. You have Santo Domingo. People don't understand that Santo Domingo has so much products, even in textiles and different things. You ever realize like Spanish them all look fly? The clothes always look flying and shine. Then they have a particular style, cause there are a lot of garment factories down there and stuff. And if we had more inter-island trade, that would help. But in order to facilitate that, we need inter-island transport. So when I saw this, I was like, wow. But this is going between Guyana, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago. So it's down that side, right?
The bigger territories. Huh?
Yes. Yeah. But he's trying to prove, and the president of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, he says regional cargo ferry, which will be launched soon, involving Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, will be a test to prove that investment in regional transportation can be profitable. And he's doing both people and cargo. So it's a ferry service that allows for cargo as well. And I remember having these discussions with Brandon, talking about, what if we even got like a small cruise ship that's, the cargo bay in cruise ships are so massive. And you could literally ease the burden on islanders, because then the travel back and forth will be a little bit cheaper, and then you could also have cargo going back and forth, because a lot of this stuff we can find in the other islands, but we do not have that service. So I love that he's doing this, and I'm hoping that other islands will purchase a vessel. When you look at the budgets that our governments go through, purchasing a boat ain't nothing. So but these are the areas that we have to start looking at. They're talking about cutting down on imports and so forth, inter-island trade, and that needs to be a priority and needs to come up.
I think that our leaders don't think big enough. That's part of the problem. And you table an idea, you get people, the pushback, you get this defeatist pushback. It's like,
but isn't that our people though, Jamster?
Well, same difference.
The average teacher, you tell them, they're going to find 25,000 reasons why it can't work. Yeah. And our politicians are us. They come from us. So unfortunately, they share a lot of our limited views.
Thank you. We have a caller. Caller, go right ahead. It's 8:30.
Hi, good morning, Johnson.
Hey,
good morning, Azard.
Hey,
good morning, Steph.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I like what you have been bringing to the fore as of late, Chef. I mean, both you and Johnson, Azard. But yesterday I listened to the conversation with the spice out of the nutmeg out of Grenada, and that actually is the way to go. I can laud that, but there are other intricacies that is entailed in those matters. For one, government might give a commitment to such, but it has to be done as a rollout phase, because the farmers has to be taken into consideration, because they produce and they probably turn it over to how we used to have the Simaco here. And they're expecting a sum of money to feed their families. Same thing in Ghana with President Nana Akufo. He gave his commitment to Switzerland that they would not export in cocoa anymore. But they also export to China and to the U.S., because I assume that is how the Hershey's and those big chocolate companies in the U.S. get their cocoa, the cocoa beans. But what percentage does Ghana economy rely on the exportation of cocoa beans? And can the president just stop it, knowing that they produce annually and the surplus? Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire happens to have the 50% of the exportation of cocoa beans globally.
Wow.
Along with Nigeria and the Cameroon, 4 African countries. There's Brazil and there's Colombia and there's Indonesia also. It's all good saying that. And, we can criticize our president from time to time. But we just celebrated Valentine's Day. How many of us had coffee, chocolate that was made in Ghana, that was made in an African country? We knowing directly that these chocolates came directly from those countries that are trying to set up and trying to cut back, because we know that chocolate is a billion-dollar business, and most of the revenue, probably 90% of the revenue, goes towards those countries like Switzerland and the U.S.
So you're saying
You
greater focus should be placed on our leaders to create industries.
Not eating chocolate and showing solidarity, because when we eat the chocolate, the Hershey's and the chocolate made in Switzerland, we're only empowering them as opposed to empowering us. What about the diaspora?
Okay, so
In the US,
Carla,
hello?
yeah, so the point that you're trying to make it within 2 sentences.
Yes, the point I'm trying to make that president might say things, and they mean well. But to implement it, it's not so easy. For instance, William Ruto, he spoke about, because in the African Union, there are 2 years period where a president will assume that leadership of that union. And it rotates. President will say things and hoping that the other president that will assume after 2 years will try to implement it. But until then, they will have to go to the flow, go along with the flow, and attend meetings, be it in Russia, China, the EU, or wherever, or Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so
they will set things meaning well,
okay,
but it may not be implemented because it has to be implemented at an African Union level.
Okay, we get you. And what he's saying, basically, even yesterday, somebody argued that he said, oh, he's going to stop the exportation, but it's still being exported. Now, everything takes time. We have bureaucracy, we have red tape, we have legal matters. A lot of these companies are private companies as well. So when he announced that, I didn't expect it to just hardly thereafter. Things don't work like that in the real world. But it's a step in the right direction, you know? And
yes, because of the cocoa beans, you have to get out the old ones before you annually your stock supply, your life.
What they're saying too is that we need to do more processing in these countries because, for instance, when you get the raw product, it's called added value. I can make some lip balms, for instance. I make a lot of products, and I can have 3 oils and some wax, and on their own they don't cost a lot. But when I make a lip balm, out of 1 bottle of oil, maybe a quarter pound of wax, and 3 bottles of oil, say 8 ounces each, I can probably get a few hundred lip balms that will sell at 10 EC each, if I'm able to do that. So when you add value, it increases profits tremendously, but it also helps to develop your economy, because now people like me, I'm sure now that they're keeping their nutmeg and stuff. I would be able, I'm hoping, especially if you get into island trade and cargo service, I would be having more access to that. Sorry?
Getting the stuff from Grenada coming to sink it, and having it to airlift, it might be more expensive as opposed to sailing on the water. Like what?
Well, that's what we mostly do, and that's why we're encouraging them to have more like ferry traffic back and forth. And there are people here from Grenada that go back and forth and bring spices as well, but they're doing it on their own and they have to pay commercial rates, whereas if there was a cargo service, it would be cheaper and it would encourage more inter-island trade, more inter-island
listen up.
And also if there was more value added manufacturing going on, right?
Yes.
That's the main thing. I mean, take for example, we were talking about chocolate in those countries. The smart thing to do, I'm sure probably that's what they're doing. You send people off. You're sending people going off to study. Go off to study chocolate making and all the other value added stuff that comes with
yes, exactly.
Even cosmetic making, because cocoa butter comes from the same beans.
It's the same chocolate.
But first, then, if you're going to do that, you must introduce at some level the advantages of being in industries like this. I'm not saying that they're not advantages, but you'll have to, in the schools at least, make it aware for students to know that these are avenues that they could go into.
And if governments pay attention to this, is why social media is so important. When I started making products, there were just a handful of people. Now there are probably hundreds of people in St. Kitts making products. And globally, that's the trend. Marshall Montano has his own line of chocolate. And he would have sourced
Really?
that. Yes, I'm sure he sourced that in either it's St. Vincent, Dominica, and Grenada that are making. Any island can make chocolate. We had chocolate here.
Yeah, most of them grow chocolate.
Yeah, it's just that
Grow.
they specialized and kept that trade
Yeah.
up. But he has his own line of chocolate. I think there is one in Anguilla. They're doing sea salt with different flavors in it, but they're also doing, they branched off and did like a sea salt and chocolate. And people in different islands are doing chocolate now because in Grenada especially, they really revamped their chocolate plantations and the cocoa going. They really went in and revamped that.
We have a call. Caller, go ahead, Ed. 838.
Good morning, Jumpstart.
Hey, what's up?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Oh, so far so good. Thank you again for continuing to educate the public.
Thank you for
and
calling.
I do agree with
man.
the last caller that we should do more inter-island trading. But even though we're talking about inter-island trading, I still do concern about the activities of what we do here. We actually grow chocolate here. We don't grow it commercially, physically, because it appears as if I see them practically every day. We still have chocolate tree growing in the mountain and in the guts and in the valley. But the funny thing is that nobody is attending to them. Nobody picking the chocolates.
Yeah.
Nobody cutting the vines that grow on the chocolate trees to prevent them from taken over by the termites. But they are still in existence. And so not only that, we could go into a slipping process and restart our guts and our valleys with chocolates and so on and put it back to use like you once did. Practically most of the plantation managers did have workers who work for the estate and the sugar industry plant coconut trees and chocolate.
Oh.
And I think that we should go into a mass production of growing coconut trees because it appears as if coconut are taking over the place of a soda, which is very good.
And the coconut
And we
oil
could
is in
divert
high
our health
demand.
system in that.
Yeah, coconut oil is very
And I
good.
like that you said we could go
and-
back into the chocolate too, because a lot of people here think they're drinking chocolate at mornings with the Ovaltine and all that. Most of that is flour. It's wheat.
Sure. Do the math. Do the math. You go to town and you have 100 jelly.
Yeah.
That's $500, and I'm sure you're not coming back home with any.
No.
Because people consume lots of coconut water because it's already registered in their mind that it's a healthy drink.
Yeah, that's so true.
And
What you
so-
say is so true.
It's time to move forward rather than planting all those what you call royal palm and palm in the area. Plant coconut trees. Why the boats have to bring them in here by the container load, and we're buying and we're building other people's economy when we can build our own? And it would give you about another 5 years, and all the line and the shoreline could be taken back with the palm trees of coconut again. I think I've said enough. On
I
this, so
would love them to do palm as well,
I
that
just wanted to
produces
add a
oil.
contribution.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
caller.
for your call, caller.
So many things, so many of the things that we take for granted. I
Yeah.
feel like no one can tell me we can't have a few dozen acres
Yeah.
of, say, breadfruit, soursop, all
Yeah.
these things,
But this will
That,
take planning.
cacao,
Yeah.
all these things. You know?
I find like, okay, this is one of the problems. Like, sometimes it seems so daunting, the task, that we say, well, it can't happen now, but we forget that time passes so quickly. So you might say, oh, I want to grow a tomato tree, but it'll take this and this time to bear. I want it now. But if you drop those seeds, you get so distracted and time passes so fast that before you know it, you have it. So it all takes a first step. So I just tell people, like, don't look at the big daunting picture. Just look a foot in front of you and deal with that. Then you deal with 2 and 3 and 4 and you go forward. But we have to start somewhere.
But, I think we've been too privileged here in St. Kitts
Yeah.
Nevis. I've always heard people from the Windward Islands say that, I've heard it more than once, that we are too, they like to say Americanized. And
Kitty Americans?
we have things too good.
Yeah.
And I even remember a conversation one time with somebody from Grenada about the traffic lights. Like, we all have so many traffic lights, and we're like, well,
I want to.
So it makes you realize how good we have things. So this is why the natives named St. Kitts Fertile Isle for a reason. and that seems that the fact that they named the island that seems to escape us because we have things so good that we don't have to have.
I think
we don't
one
have
of
to
the
have.
I think one of the biggest problems we had, like, this is way before our time, but they said back in the day, Bacha had implemented a TV tax, and of course everybody was upset because we were taking my freedom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the tax per se, but if you look at it as when I was in my
TV
teens,
license, same thing here, tax.
when I was in my teens, they would call us Kitty Americans and say y'all too Americanized, and I would tell them,
Really?
but every channel is from America. We're supposed to be British in history, but we have no British channels. Why do we not have access
British?
to other channels?
I don't know if I necessarily want British channels either, but
No, but what I'm saying, it's strictly like most Kititians, that's their dream. If you send a boat today,
we live in their
I said,
backyard,
to
though.
America.
Yeah. We live in their backyard,
But our focus is too focused on America, and I think the media, what we consume, has a big, Kititians think the American laws apply to here. Sure, you get that all the time.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Sometimes I have to say, what applies in the States don't necessarily apply here.
Wow.
They don't know.
We are governed by the Commonwealth.
We need to bring the FBI.
Let's take this call. 843. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I am calling. I don't know if there's a specific topic you guys are speaking about.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because I understand that there was an incident at Sadler's Secondary School, and
Oh yes.
Friday.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
and I don't think I've heard anybody speak about it on the radio. I was listening to the radio all yesterday. I don't know if anybody spoke about it.
No, I don't think we didn't mention it on the show, but yes, there was an incident at the Sadler Secondary School. Has the I from what I gathered, the young man might have been involved in, I think, a steeplechase or something like
Some
that.
sort of heat,
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
He died.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I am a concerned parent,
Yes.
and I just wanted to say that St. Kitts and Nevis seems to be a very reactive society and not a proactive society. Because I am thinking when we are having events like these where you have multiple children being involved, there should be an ambulance on site.
Yeah. That's
I don't know how feasible it is, but I think if we are putting the lives of children and other persons at risk, because it's not just children. Because I've seen a lot of activities that involve children and grown-ups, where there is no ambulance on site, and even if there was an incident and an ambulance was to be called, there would be very slow response.
Yeah.
And I have seen, I watch a lot of sporting activities, especially in the United States. I just heard you guys talking about the United States. And there seems to be I don't want to call it a trend, but there seems to be a lot more of these cardiac arrests happening when persons are involved in sports. And I don't think it's because these persons might have some kind of underlying condition, but I just think that persons should take this into account, that persons can get cardiac arrest. They can fall into cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, I am almost certain that if there was an ambulance on site, that child might have been able to get care and he might have been alive today. Or he or she, because I don't know if it was a boy or a girl.
So,
But like I said, I just think that our society is very reactive and not proactive. And I would like to see somebody or some persons take that initiative and put these kind of things in place. Because there are lots of children that they're playing sports. Some arguably, some might be forced to do sport, but then at the same time, something should be put in place. Because I've seen many, especially on weekends, I've seen the Football Association put on activities for children. They have their football activities, hundreds and hundreds of boys and girls, and no ambulance in sight. And you never know what could happen.
Okay,
Never know what could happen. And
we
see what
appreciate
has happened now. And I think that something like this, even if the effort was there, even if the person had gotten care as a parent, I would have felt a lot better than to know that the child or whoever it is didn't receive any care. At least, to my opinion, I don't know the full extent of the matter.
I have a story here, and I'm glad you highlighted it because, you know, we failed to do so yesterday as well. And apologies to the family, everyone who is really a part of this situation and being affected. Condolences to the family, condolences to the friends. And here there is a story from WINNFM and says staff, students, and parents of the Sadler's Secondary School were in a state of excitement on Friday, February 16, with the hosting of Steeplechase, a staple event on the school's calendar. However, the excitement was soon washed away following the sudden death of a 13-year-old male student. The school's management informed parents and guardians of early dismissal. A few hours after the incident, individuals took to social media their varying views on what may have transpired, but with no official word to confirm what led to the death of the child. However, expressions of sympathy poured out on social media to the family, friends, the school, and the communities in mourning. The death of the 13-year-old marked the second time in less than a year that tragedy rocked the Sadler's Secondary School. 10 months ago, on May 19, 2023, Lashley Weeks, a 15-year-old Sadler's Secondary School student, died in a traffic accident in Hertfordshire, an incident still very fresh in the minds of many who knew him. Yeah, and that's from WINNFM, and that was published about 4 days ago. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I just would like to see that initiative taken up. I know that there might be an issue with it might not have enough ambulances or whatever the case may be, but I just think that more effort should be made and collaboration between the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Sport to have these ambulances, or at least one ambulance at these major events, because you never know what could happen.
That's
and
so
I am of the firm belief that if that child had received care, he would have been better. Because I know at least one school there is a defibrillator, but I don't even know if persons are trained in the use of the defibrillator. And like I said, I don't know the extent to which this child succumbed to the race or whatever it was, but I am almost certain that it might have been cardiac arrest. But I guess we'll have to wait.
You know, as a parent too, it's scary, and as he said, we are reactive and not very proactive. But I'm gonna say something here, cause I find that in this country as well, we argue about what should have been done after it's done. But again, as I tell you all the time, I'm here to shine a light back on us as a people, because even the concept that we need to have ambulances at sporting events for children speaks to our health issue in the country. And I don't know if he had a pre-existing condition. I don't know what would have contributed to it. But our children are not as healthy as they should be. I know they did a study a few years back, and a lot of kids, even in primary school, were pre-diabetic, diabetic, very overweight. I don't know the child. I'm not talking about this case. I'm talking in general.
Listen, sometimes I'm coming to work, right? And I see guys who probably work construction, and some of them go to this Chinese place up the road, up there, Wellington Road, and these guys are drinking a soft drink, and
they boom them.
Yeah, for breakfast with maybe whatever
students
sandwich. No, but you know that's probably a long practiced thing that they do. You know, I'm like, who drinks, especially doing those kinds of jobs? You're drinking a sparkle, really? You're drinking a Buster? You're drinking a boom?
I saw a woman in the square once with her daughter. And, you know, she gave her for lunch, and the child was already overweight. She gave her a 6-pack of donuts and a soda. What? And she said to her, you better eat all in and don't waste my money. There are so many. St. Kitts has the most obese people per capita in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, we do.
We do. And we are not paying attention to our health. The fact that the caller feels so pressed to think that we need to have an ambulance at events for kids. Kids are supposed to be able to run around. This is supposed to be a one-off case.
But I mean, I do agree.
Nothing wrong with having them,
with
but-
having the ambulance at the schools for these things, because and I understand the point that you're making, very much so. But in the point that I think he's making is the fact of when you have these events, so many things could happen. You have the high jump, you have the all sort of things that require physical activity that things could go wrong. So I do understand. I think that's the point he's making, just as a precaution for anything that might go wrong in these sporting and, contact activities as well, know, football, all of those things, because you do have the ambulance. For the track and field too is something that I think they really need to consider, because steeplechase is a very intense. Yeah.
But I know they used to have tents where, like, when I was in school, they would have tents, and you'd have the doctors come through and be in the tent and be there ready.
And then sometimes you see all of these children, and all of us, or most of us, have been a part of it in the secondary school and primary
guys,
school.
take this call.
Oh.
Okay. Someone, maybe one of you guys said. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Well, maybe the suggestion is that before the kids can play any sports, because like here in the U.S., before your kids can participate in any sports in school, you have to get a doctor's note. You have to have a physical and get a doctor's note. So maybe that's
That's a good
the
one,
school
too.
should implement that then. Make everybody go to the doctor and get a physical and get a doctor's note.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I think for those kind of events, the ambulance, because you never know what could happen.
Yeah, but ambulances are known in St. Kitts. It's kind of I like the tent with the doctors too, because at least they can stabilize the person, because sometimes the ambulance, we have a few and it's a whole island, and sometimes schools tend to have events at the same time and heat's on the same there. So I say have the doctors or the tent that can stabilize whatever. So in the case that the ambulance is not able to get
And
to you as
perhaps
quickly.
what could happen too is, I don't know how, and I'm speaking from an outside perspective, I don't know how the schools discuss that in terms of the preparation, in terms of if you have steeplechase, I have steeplechase, what resources we have available in terms of the ambulance, and coming to some sort of
Well, no, they have to.
Go ahead, caller.
plan as to how to use those scarce resources.
Yeah. We have
Hi,
to
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
A very timely conversation, and I'm really glad to hear the inputs being made. One of the things that I think also needs to be questioned is whether or not we actually conduct HSC, for layman terms, safety inspections of events on a whole. Anything that you have a large congregations of people coming together, and usually in a confined space, those things should be evaluated. It's also a situation where, separate and apart from having first responders on site, is determining, the whole issue of egress, how safe it is to exit, and those things. And we don't hear conversations about that, so it's not a case where I'm implying it doesn't happen, but it would be good to know that it actually does. I'm hoping that the powers that be are listening, because to AZ's point, it's not a situation where we're just looking at person's health, the issues of obesity, etc. But take, for example, when I was in university, the fittest guy on the field when we used to play football, he took in with a heart attack. So, these things can happen to any and everyone, but having the personnel there for events that are planned, I think it's a great idea. I think actually that's first world practice, and we keep talking about trying to get there. And these are things that are quite easy to implement. So, for the powers that be that are listening, I think the population is really telling you what it is we would like to see, what we think is necessary, and this one seems like a no-brainer. So we'd just like to put that out there.
Thank you so much for calling in and weighing in on the discussion.
I also like the idea of getting a medical as well, because even in school sometimes, people just get up and run. You don't know what's going on.
Guys, take this out of call. 3 minutes to 9. We're going to take a break next. Go ahead, caller.
Good morning, Ireland. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, first I always want to thank God for the Federation of Sphinx Navies. A blessed
Definitely.
country. And I believe that as one native and national of this island, Sphinx Navies, as we work together as black people, I believe we could make it. But anyway, I hear listening to the program, and a caller before talk about coconut trees. And he's all right. Now you got people got land. Monkey destroying them. They ain't have nothing to do with the land. What they do got to do plant coconut trees, plant banana trees, plant papaya, plant breadfruit. You understand? These things could work. These things, in case of anything, like a hurricane, a disaster come, and the boat can't bring no food to our shore. We got all these things to eat and use. You understand? Mm-hmm. But instead of that, they just let the land and they let it go in wilderness and nothing on the land. You plant up to yesterday, I was by a guy, and he a piece of land, I got ready to walk. I tell him, man, listen up, plant up the whole gut side of coconut trees. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because we don't know what could have take place. And it's just sad with the young guy. I think he part from this village here, boys' village. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I want to send my condolences out to the family, the Diaz family, and the Watts family. Mm. And, you know, that these things happen. You have now in World Olympic. You have now in football field and so. So no matter what, maybe you got in place, sometimes these things just take place. Because sometimes you don't know the condition of the body. You know, the doctor will know if a doctor was there to test him or somebody was there to test him. And, you know, at the time. But we in here, we ain't got those facilities when we got sport meet and all those things. So, it's something, we got to lose someone someday, but, you know, sometimes we lose them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, life must go on. It's because of whatever. So I just will continue to listen to the program. Mm-hmm. All right, then, James, take care.
One of the things, too, I was in Sandy Point and the hospital was just above. The hospital overlooks the playing field. Eh? So anything that went down there, we were always close to a hospital as well. So.
Okay, guys, we have to take the break. As you can see, the good doctor is here, and we were just having a little discussion about what you guys were talking about. Very interesting. So we're gonna take the break, and we have Weekly Dose coming up next.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
The TDC Group of Companies express our gratitude to all our valued customers for 5 amazing decades of support. You've been the heart of TDC, and we couldn't have done it without you. To celebrate this milestone, we're throwing the biggest end of anniversary sale ever. Enjoy discounts of up to 50% on a wide range of products across all TDC retail stores. And guess what? Some of our retail outlets are offering jaw-dropping deals of up to 75% off. But here's the catch. The fantastic celebration comes to an end on February 15, 2024. So hurry in and take advantage of these incredible deals before they're gone. TDC, where quality meets affordability. Thank you for 50 amazing years of support. Here's to many more years of serving you with the best.
You've played the online game. Now you can scratch, mark, and win with Express Cash, the new instant scratch game, and win up to $40,000. With 6 draws in each ticket, there's so many ways to win. Get your $5 Express Cash instant tickets from Caribbean lottery agents island-wide.
Caribbean Lottery. Life is unpredictable. Don't miss the opportunity to provide your loved ones with the financial protection and peace of mind coverage they deserve with the Family Indemnity Plan from Kuna Caribbean Insurance. The Family Indemnity Plan covers final expenses such as funeral costs and outstanding debt in the event you or your loved one passes away for up to $30,000. No medical examination is required. Contact your credit union or one of their approved Family Indemnity Plan providers to enroll today. To learn more, call 466-9453 or 762-2973. Visit their website at kunacaribbean.com. Kuna Caribbean Insurance, for all people.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
It's okay. Oh, rearing to go, huh? No, you didn't say it. You didn't say anything incriminating.
I did not know we were live already.
Well, I just opened the mic and
Okay.
then 3 minutes. That's why I always try to say standby. But you guys are rearing and ready to go. So 3 minutes after 9 o'clock, it's time for Weekly Dose with Dr. Natalie Osborne.
Yes, it is, and it's time. And yeah, we have those notes. We are going to speak on this issue of, we have here stomach issues. So we're going to talk about the stomach, and we're going to talk about so many things as it relates to the stomach. And Dr. Osborne had 2 cases as it relates to the stomach, and I'm seeing also about stomach cancer, but I know it's more than the stomach cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your cases, doctor, before we go into
Good
the
morning,
topic.
everyone, and thanks for listening always. So today I had 2 interesting cases in the last couple of weeks, just in the month of February. So I just decided to call the topic today 2 cases of stomach issue.
Okay.
So I'll present the 2 cases briefly, and then we'll get into the discussion. So we had a 60-plus-year-old female who presented. She was having a significant weight loss for over 6 months. She found that she was having persistent vomits. So almost every day she would have vomits, and every time she eats, you feel full quickly. We call that early satiety. So you get that sensation of being full. And she realized that she wasn't keeping down much. And sometimes you just have to drink mostly to just get something to stay. But usually she vomits it up. And then she continued to feel bloated, felt really uncomfortable. And her weight kept going down. So she was seen by several different physicians and stuff, and then was referred for me for a study. An upper endoscopy. That's where we put the camera down into the stomach, where we have found that she had a lesion or tumor there at the outlet. Where the stomach comes in is almost like the inlet. Okay, that's called the GE junction. But the stomach, after it breaks down the food, it has to empty it out into the small intestines. And so there was a blockage there. We took biopsy, found that it was a cancer. So it was a gastric adenocarcinoma, a cancer of the stomach. So that was our first case. That's our first issue of stomach problem. Our second case was a young man about just over a week ago, just 2 days a week. He presented with abdominal pain. He was about 51, abdominal distension, so the belly was bloated. He was having pain all throughout his tummy, and the pain was worsening throughout the days. He was seen in the emergency room a couple days prior in his early initial state. He had some treatment, felt a little better, went home, but then he returned last week or so. With the vomiting, he was feeling very ill. He was looking very ill, hadn't been passing any gas or stool, was very bloated. When we came in, we did some abdominal x-rays. We did a chest x-ray. We saw that he had free air in the abdomen. That's basically indicating that there is some kind of perforation or hole in any part or some part of the gastrointestinal tract. It could be anywhere from the stomach or this down to the colon. So we knew that something was perforated or open or had a hole inside it. So we took him to the operating room. We found that he had an ulcer, a duodenal ulcer that would have perforated, which is a complication of having a duodenal ulcer. He had spillage of the stomach content, the gastric content. That is what would irritate the abdominal cavity, give him all this pain and discomfort. So he had all of that irrigated, taken out all the gastric content, and he had the hole basically patched, to make it simple for the audience. He did well as also and went home. So those are two patients of gastric issue. One was a gastric cancer, and the other case was a perforated peptic ulcer, perforated duodenal ulcer to be specific.
Wow.
So we're going to talk about and have a little discussion briefly about these two different pathologies.
So the question, therefore, is who does stomach cancer affect?
Yeah. So anyone can develop stomach cancer, right? But there are certain risk factors that can affect you. Usually a person can get stomach cancer if they're over the age of 65. The older you are, usually you're more predisposed for having this. Usually males would develop at a rate higher than females. If most descendants or most persons who are from the Asian community, because of their diet, the Japanese, those cultures, it's well known and well established that they have a higher incidence of having gastric cancer. You have persons as well too. You have different histories of having what we call H. pylori. Lots of persons would have heard about this. These are some of the persons who would develop this gastric cancer, and there are lots of other what we call risk factors that we'll get into later.
Wow. So what are the signs and symptoms of stomach cancer?
Here's the thing, and it is very tricky about stomach cancer. Very early in the disease, you usually do not have any symptoms. Or if you have symptoms, these symptoms can be very vague. You have some abdominal discomfort. A lot of time that we play off as you might have gas. You might have had something there, so you're feeling this discomfort, but it's nothing specific. And it usually, by the time you start having more specific symptoms, it's usually pretty advanced in the disease. Another symptom is that you start losing weight. This is weight that you're not planning to lose. You weren't working out, you weren't exercising or doing any special diet to lose weight, and you realize that you're losing weight rapidly. Some of the other symptoms would include loss of appetite. You realize you get full very quickly. You're not eating as much as you usually eat. You would have sometimes this recurrent vomits that you said. You're feeling bloated. You're feeling fatigue, weak. You have some nausea and vomiting. Okay, you could have some heartburn where you feel this discomfort there just under your breastbone, as we say, just there in the center. You can have your stool becoming dark. Why? Because this tumor can bleed, and that blood is expelled, mixed in with the stool, giving what we call Michelina. It's that black tarry stool that you can present with. So you get this sensation of bloating or stomach gas, stomach pain, and you just feel this unwellness. But very early, your symptoms are so, vague. That's the word, especially. So most of the time when a stomach cancer is diagnosed, it's pretty advanced.
Oh, wow. And you have really shown us, given us like the signs and the symptoms of the stomach cancer. And so it leads me to ask the question, what may cause it?
Well, like any other cancer, usually there is a genetic mutation or there's a change. What genes does, they help to cells to develop and cells to die. But what happened, there's a mutation and these cells start multiplying rapidly, so there are changes. Sometimes we don't know what exactly, but there are different factors. But ultimately there's going to be a mutation or change in the cells, and the cells that are unhealthy start to multiply rapidly and grow, and then they can spread to other parts of the body. So who's at risk of developing what causes a stomach cancer? It's a multitude of factors that we have. If you have a family history of stomach cancer, you're at increased risk, you should get checked out. Very high on the risk factor is the H. pylori bacteria that causes ulcers. We often hear persons, oh, I got tested, I was positive for H. pylori. We need to make sure that you eradicate that bacteria from the stomach, because it increases your risk of developing stomach cancer. If you have things like gastric reflux disease, persons are always coming, having heartburn, all these symptoms can lead to stomach cancer. Chronic infections, there's some kind of viruses that can predispose you, like this virus called the Epstein-Barr virus that can predispose you. And if you've had a history of having polyps or previous stomach cancers, persons who have chronic gastritis, there's a specific type that's called chronic atrophic gastritis. If your diet is not healthy, usually in those Asian countries that have a high incidence of having gastric cancers, those are the group that have a lot of cured meat and salted meat and those type of things, smoked meat. And that is one of the major factors there. And certain exposure to different kind of chemicals and substances, coal, metal, rubber. Smoking is always thrown in with every risk factor in any cancer, so always keep that in mind. Smoking cigarettes, even vaping or tobacco, and drinking too much alcohol. And Azard, you're going to like this, obesity. Almost every disease can be worsened with obesity.
You know, we were talking about that just moments before.
There are other risk factors too, different genetic syndromes and stuff that we won't get into, but to know that it is a multifactorial disease. Usually you cannot pick one thing. It's a combination of things, and usually comes down to a person's genes as well, to associated with other factors.
So tell us, doctor, how is stomach cancer diagnosed?
As almost all other cancers, you need tissue. Ultimately, you're going to need tissue. When your patient presents to you and you're having all these different symptoms, a light should go off that you need to check the stomach, observe what is going on inside the stomach. So an endoscopy would be your study of choice, where you put the camera down, you look around, and if there is any abnormalities, anything abnormal, you take tissue. We always speak about taking biopsy. You take samples, and that is studied by the pathologist, and that will then give us a confirmation of what it is that we have. That is what happened in our case with that we presented earlier. You have other things. If you do not have access to endoscopy, we can do a barium study where you swallow this milky liquid, and you can take different images. So there are different type of studies that you can involve here. There's an ultrasound that can be attached to the endoscope, and when you go inside, you can do an ultrasound. There's a small instrument attached to the endoscopy scope. There are different things like that. An MRI, CT scan, but those are usually assisting you to see if the tumor or the disease has spread or advanced and it has any metastasis, as we said. You're checking to see if it's spread to the liver, any other part or any other organ inside of the tummy.
Wow. As you know, these are very important important information that should be, shared, and we thank you for sharing this information to so many persons. And let's talk about the treatment. We have the stomach cancer.
You have a cancer.
Treated.
We want to get rid of these cancerous cells or these bad cells there. So it's usually going to be, if it depends on what stage and how early you capture this disease, you may have some different options. In a very, very early disease where the tumor is limited just to the inner lining of the stomach, you may be able to just remove that segment endoscopically. So that's what we call minimally invasive surgery, using a camera going down the mouth, and you resect that section. But that is very early stages, and that would have to be in areas or communities where you have a high surveillance. You're doing a lot of endoscopy, and you can pick up on these early stages very quickly. In other instances, though, like in our patient, she had to have a segment or part of the stomach removed. Depending on the location, you may have all of your stomach removed and then attach the upper part, which is the esophagus, to the intestines. That's a very complex surgery with a lot of comorbidities and complication and stuff. So you can have a partial or a total gastrectomy. You can have resection of the mucosa or the superficial layer of the lining of the stomach if it's a very early case. Then after you've had surgery, which will usually be the first, you need to get the tumor out of there. Then you can have other treatment. You've got your radiation in certain cases. Chemotherapy is used quite often. You have different things like immunotherapy, where you use specific drugs to fight against the tumor cells, target therapy, those kind of things. And if nothing can be done, In instances, you may just have to do what we call a palliative surgery or palliative care. What does that mean to us? Palliation means that you can cure it, but you're just trying to make the persons comfortable or alleviate some of their symptoms. In times, we might just have to do a bypass surgery, because if the stomach is not able to empty or evacuate, you may have to bypass the tumor and do a connection between the stomach and the small intestine, and making it as simple as it, but it's not as simple, to make sure that the person can eat and have some level of comfort. Like in our patient, she kept vomiting because the stomach was blocked. The exit point from the stomach into the small intestine was completely blocked off.
We've spoken about the treatment. How does one prevent the stomach cancer?
Well, in terms of prevention, we have to go back to our risk factors. Any risk factor that we can control and modify, of course, in the obesity. You cannot change your age. All of us are getting older, and that's the goal ultimately. So you want to get older, you want to live long enough, but of course that's going to predispose you. But your exercise, your diet, you want to avoid eating red meats, decrease your alcohol consumption, Jamster, or eliminate it completely. If you smoke or vape or use tobacco, you want to stop doing that. Get rid of that. These are things you can control. And have a diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables. Vitamin C is very good. Beta carotene that you get from carrots. So you want to make sure that your plate is looking green and colorful with your oranges, your reds and stuff. So a diet really does help. And if you have any symptoms, present yourself in an early fashion. Oftentimes, we're fearful to seek medical attention, and so we delay.
So let us now move on briefly and discuss the second stomach condition. And what is peptic ulcer disease, doctor?
Okay, so peptic ulcer disease, remember we spoke on the second case where we had the male that he had the abdominal pain and such, is where you have an ulcer. The ulcer starts like a sore in the lining of the stomach. And if not treated, that sore can become worse and worse over time, giving you pain and discomfort. So anytime there's a break in the barrier or the lining, the protective lining of the stomach, then the acid that is inside the stomach can irritate the stomach and create all these pain and symptoms. So most times it is located, the ulcer would be located in the stomach itself, or in the small intestine, that small first part that the stomach empties to. It's called the duodenum. It's part of the intestine that can have the ulcer.
So what are the different types?
An ulcer can develop anywhere. It can in the GI tract, but most of the times we're going to see the ulcers either in the stomach or in the duodenum, as we said. In rare cases, you may have them further down in another segment of the small intestines that is called the jejunum. But most times you're going to find the cancers in the duodenum or in the stomach itself.
So give us the symptoms.
So the symptoms associated most time with ulcers or any kind of ulcers, whether it be in the stomach or in the duodenum, you're going to have some abdominal pain. You're going to have some heartburn, the sensation that we often speak about, heartburn. Some persons, after they eat a meal, they start having the pain, usually indicative of an ulcer that's in the stomach, because once you start producing that acid to break down the food, it irritates the ulcer. Sometimes persons complain that after half an hour to an hour, they have most of their pain. That's more indicative of an ulcer that is further down. But that is just relative. Ultimately, the symptoms can be vague and quite similar, whether the ulcer is in the stomach or in the duodenum. But you're going to have abdominal pain, discomfort, the sensation of burning consistently. You feel bloated. You could have some nausea, vomiting, and stuff like that. So a loss of appetite, and you're burping uncontrollably as well too. The common symptoms you're going to think about. Persons always come with this pain right under the breastbone, the middle section of what we call the stomach. Oftentimes, right there, you have that discomfort.
And what causes ulcers?
Well, what causes ulcers? Most ulcers associated with the H. pylori bacteria. And I've heard many persons in the community, they're quite aware of this bacteria. They'll go and get tested. quite a lot of persons are positive for this bacteria as well, but it doesn't mean you ultimately will have an ulcer, but it predisposes you as well to anytime there's a damage, that bacteria instills itself or gets itself into the lining of the stomach and creates havoc there as well, okay? So you can have that, and also commonly in our community we use a lot of pain medication. And those are called NSAIDs. Commonly the NSAIDs, you would have heard of them, the Voltaren, the ibuprofen, the naproxen, things like that. They are known to create havoc in the stomach. I always encourage the patients to avoid them where possible. Unless you're having really severe pain, you want to just use some acetaminophen, which is commonly known as paracetamol in our community. So avoid these drugs that may be harsher on the stomach and create a problem.
Yeah. So we're now talking about the diagnosis. So diagnosis. So we're going to ask the question: how can the peptic ulcer disease be diagnosed?
Yet again, it comes back to the symptoms the patient have, and you would do an endoscopy. That's the best way of doing it. But in the past, we had upper serial studies where you swallowed a barium and you took some images. We don't use that commonly now because we have the endoscopy where you can see directly, take images as well, and if you need to take biopsy. So ultimately, you would do an endoscopy to confirm that. You could always suspect it with the symptoms, but with confirmation, it's best to see directly there. All right?
So what are the available treatments for peptic ulcer disease?
So once you had an ulcer back in the past, this is like in the 80s and the years prior, persons would tend to think that it was deemed a surgical problem. So persons had a lot of surgery. You had resecting of the stomach in lots of instances. But with the advance of medicine, we realized that one of the main problem was the bacteria, and the antibiotics could eliminate it. So now in today's standard, it's mostly treated as a medical pathology, meaning that with the treatment of your antibiotics and antacid, you would have heard of these drugs that decrease the secretion and the amount of gastric acid in the stomach. That helps, because what irritates the ulcer most is the what you call it, the acids. It's like you have an open sore and you throw something like alcohol or something ash on it, and if it's constantly exposed to that, it will not heal. So you decrease the acid and you use the antibiotics. The antibiotics, what it does, it eradicates the bacteria. And also certain other things, if you're using any of these NSAIDs or anti-inflammatory drugs, okay, you want to stop them because those can create havoc as well. Change your diet, decrease your food that is rich in acidic stuff, especially at the initial stage, because that could irritate and make it worse. But once you do that treatment and you make some lifestyle change, it usually does not. It usually is resolved.
Okay.
What are the complications of peptic ulcer bleeding? Peptic
ulcer disease. So peptic ulcer disease, it's all basically covers an ulcer either in the stomach or in the duodenum or anywhere. So that is a global term. But so if you have an ulcer and if it goes untreated, it can lead to what our patient had, which is called a perforation. So the ulcer or the sore in the stomach just keeps eroding until it comes right through on the other end. So you have literally a hole in the stomach or in the duodenum, and this content inside leaks out and create havoc. So that is one of the complications. Another common complication is bleeding. You have an ulcer there, and the ulcer is associated with a blood vessel, and that blood vessel gets eroded into, and you start bleeding. The individual start having bleeding. And how would you know that? Your stool is looking really dark. And we call that melena. The patients would come and say, Doc, the stool is really dark and foul smelling. It's kind of tarry looking and sticky, and that is characteristics of that. You're having a bleed, and it's being broken down and mixed in with the food content, and hence the stool matter. All right? And then another one, you could have an obstruction, like our patient, but she had a cancer. But you can have an obstruction as a result of an ulcer because you have scarring over time and inflammation. There is scarring and inflammation, and it can block the outlet of the stomach, leading to an obstruction. And so you want to prevent these complications because these complications usually need some kind of surgical intervention and can be create a lot of comorbidities to the patient.
I saw something earlier, some of the causes, and it stood out because growing up, this must have been the number one cause everybody cited for an ulcer, and that is severe psychological stress from life. Growing up, that's what, those stresses even give you an ulcer, and I see it here, so it's like.
But
okay.
Studies over time have proved that that is not the main cause, but it can be an associating factor. It can be a contributing thing, but in terms of what really creates the ulcers is usually the two main things is the NSAID use and having the H. pylori bacteria. But yes, stress was a factor. Persons insisted to spicy foods and all these things. But with the with time passing and studies and so it showed that. But stress, there's certain type of stress ulcers that we can get, and there's certain type of ulcers you can get. Like for example, if a patient has severe burns, they can develop a specific ulcer in the stomach associated with that
like
as
burns
well.
on the skin?
Yes.
Wow.
So those, and that is called a curling ulcer. You remember that from a curling iron, burns. Then there's another ulcer. If you have brain injury, brain trauma, you can get an ulcer in the stomach as well too.
Wow.
That's usually related to once there's a severe trauma, blood leaves is the organs that is least needs it, and you have that area becomes dry and it starts flaking off, creating the ulcers. It starts superficially.
Okay.
So there's always science behind most of these things. So yes, so I wanted to bring these two cases of stomach issues. One was that our patient had a gastric cancer, gastric adenocarcinoma with outlet obstruction, so the stomach was unable to empty, and the other patient have a perforation leading to a surgical emergency, and if not addressed in a timely manner, this patient, we could have lost this patient, but both of them are doing quite well. So if anybody has any questions, I don't know, Azard, any comments, any questions?
Well, I want to say so much thank you, because we think about a number of issues, and stomach issues should be one of them as well, considering that all that you have spoken about, and sometimes persons get pain in their stomach and they see it as maybe something that is minor, not realizing it could be something much more. And so I think discussions like these really bring to light what we may think to be simplistic, that it really could be a complex situation and something that we really need to prevent.
Because oftentimes we blame everything on gas. You would have heard, you have gas.
Yes.
And then they're denying that there's a symptom, but it persists. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's better to get worked up and
everything
it be negative
than
not to get your work up and delay and create a problem that becomes long term.
And the drug use as well. I know so many persons, it's like if their fingernail hurt them, they pop something.
You want to take a call?
Yes.
Yes.
Weekly dose, go right ahead.
Yeah, good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good doctor. I just love to hear you and explaining everything about health. And I would like to know, does all doctors see eye to eye? Even though you might be able to carry out a study about the heart and the other things that might cause to give problem to the body. So I'd like to know if it's all doctors that see eye to eye when they're treating a patient.
Okay. Good question, though. Doctors ultimately first are human beings. Do all human beings see eye to eye? No, we don't. And so we can all study the same material but then come to a different conclusion. The same way with religion as well too. So you can have that debate all day, but do all doctors see eye to eye? No. But that is why it is important to have discussions, have a multidisciplinary team. Like you have a patient with a gastric cancer, you want the radiologist to see that patient, the oncologist see that patient, the internist or the medical doctor, you want the surgeon to see the patient. So you bring a team of persons and then you can discuss the matter and say, well, this is the best approach. So that is what it is. So all doctors do not see. And there's constantly, I think he spoke something about the study of the heart, there are constant studies going on, and medicine is continuously evolving. And what we first think back in the 80s, some of it has changed, and it will continue to change.
Call, go right ahead.
Good morning again to Island. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Doc, a question here to you. Now, I always hear talk about alcohol. I used to be alcoholic. I used to drink alcohol. I drink the strong, I drink beer, I drink all kind of different alcohol. And after a while, anytime I drink alcohol, it could be just wine, it could be just something with alcohol in it. It itch me skin, can't sleep. You know? And to be truthful, no doctor got to tell me down with it. I stopped drink alcohol. I don't drink no kind of alcohol now. But Doc, I want to ask the next question again. Why that when a consistent alcoholic, right? When they drink beer or rum, after a while, when he comes speak to you, he don't even must come close to you. You smell something coming from the breath, something different, something coming from the breath. What caused that? That is some infection down there with the alcohol causing, and he don't know, or she don't know, whoever don't know. I notice with alcohol, even me to have a problem too. Sometimes I blow me hand in me winning me thing, and just send me breath, my own breath. And this scent coming up. But it don't happen to, no more to me because I don't drink no alcohol now.
We're proud of you.
And I hear say the alcohol is people. And you're so right. Mm-hmm. And I will listen to you after your comment after you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
For your
yes.
The answers are simple. You know, you're drinking alcohol. If you drink enough of any one thing, you start to. It's gonna be coming through your breath, almost as if almost as if coming through your pores. But the mere fact you drink some alcohol, you breathe eventually. You're gonna start to smell.
Because
it's not so complex at all.
Even if you drink coffee,
yes, you're gonna smell it on your breath. Yes. So yes, it stains your tongue. It starts, you know, and if you drink it enough, it's right there on all your surfaces.
You are what you drink.
You are what you drink.
We are what we consume.
Okay, let's take one more call. 9:33. Go ahead, caller. Okay.
We lost that caller.
It looks like we lost him.
Okay.
Azard, I've seen that you have some candy here. You've never offered me one.
But we offered you tea, and we just had this show. The candy actually came in this week, I think.
Okay.
Or have we taken candy before?
Let's try again with the caller.
Go right ahead, caller.
Yes.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I noted that the doctor would have mentioned with the cases of the stomach cancer that one can have a total gastrectomy. Now, my question is, given that the stomach has been removed, what then takes over the function of the stomach if, in that case?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. Nothing can perfectly take over the place of the stomach. Please know that, because the stomach has specific juices, secretions, specific cells that release the acid that we get in the stomach, right? But it's for the greater good. Usually we got to weigh risk versus reward. Gastric cancer is a very aggressive disease. Do nothing and you surely will die, and in short order. The survival rate is very low in 5 years, okay, by the time it's diagnosed. So the treatment can be very aggressive. You remove the entire stomach, okay? It changes quite a lot. Then you attach the stomach to the esophagus, which is the portion that the food goes down, that tube, and you attach it to the small intestines. It's never going to be the same. Most of the diet is going to have to be liquid diet for that person as well, to that diet, because the function of the stomach is to break down the food and churn it up. We call that chyme. And the other parts of the body is not going to do that, the intestines. The intestines is there usually to absorb the nutrients once it comes down. So the diet would have to change in most instances, and the person would have chronic abdominal pain, chronic abdominal discomfort, and have to be on certain drugs and stuff over time. So it's never going to be perfectly the same, but it is doable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Okay, so give you the last word.
Well, as usual, it's always a pleasure to be with you guys. I bring certain cases at times to make sure, there's several factors. let the community know that we are doing our jobs, we are working, we are contributing, we are helping the members of our society, and let them know that also that these diseases, although you see them on the book and you see them on TV, they're happening here. It's also to let people know that they need to follow up with their health, be very vigilant. That is the most important thing, because the earlier most of these cancers are diagnosed, or the earlier any of these stuff are diagnosed, even the peptic ulcer disease, even the ulcer in the stomach, if it was diagnosed early and he got the appropriate treatment, it would not have led to that complication. And if a cancer is diagnosed early, your survival rate in 5 years, because we usually calculate in 5 years, would be higher. As the diseases advance in stage, your survival rate in 5 years drops off. So education is power, and that's why we always bring this information. So if you have any abdominal discomfort and stuff, don't keep putting it off. See your physician and have it looked at, and make sure you get an appropriate diagnosis so that it can be treated. All right, so have a wonderful day, everyone. It's always great to be with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Buster, pour it up, meet the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color. And I'm black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster for the colors in my life.
Are you looking for a new dining experience to whet your appetite? Explore the flavors of the world at Pangea Multi-Cuisine Kitchen and Lounge. Our menu features Latin, Chinese, Japanese, Mexican, and Indian cuisine with a local twist. The cozy and elegant ambiance provides the perfect backdrop for an unforgettable dining experience, whether you're in the mood for a romantic night out, a family dinner, or a business lunch. Our restaurant is the perfect place to discover new tastes and enjoy a delicious meal. Book your table at Pangea Multi-Cuisine Kitchen and Lounge today by calling us at 465-9100 or visit our website at ktcsvdm.com and our Facebook page at Pangea by KTCS Limited. We are located in the heart of Port Sante Bastille St. Kitts. Come and explore the flavors of the world.
And we want to say a big thank you to Pangea Restaurant for coming on board to sponsor Island Tea. And go on out and check them out for their great fusion of cuisines from around the world. Hi guys.
Yes, good morning. And we're going to just wind down on the discussion. We've been having so many talks this morning. And I just want to add as well that, you know, for persons who don't know, that the LADC competition, the Leeward Islands debating competition.
It's supposed to be next weekend.
It's been held in St. Kitts. And so we have persons who are participating in the competition, CFPC, And Nevis as well would be participating. They usually do. I'm trying to look for the official press release, but I haven't.
Have you ever judged
seen? No.
Okay.
But it should be a very interesting thing. LIDC is very, it brings across, a lot of potential politicians.
Where was last year? Last year was Anguilla or Antigua?
I really can't recall. I really can't recall.
I might have been St. Martin, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
You were in debate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really can't recall. Yes.
Yeah, I used to be part of the debating society as well.
Yes.
I don't know what happened. I think I went to like a meeting or something, and then I don't know, I probably got caught up.
You know what's funny? Now I'm thinking about debating society. I'm thinking about the auditorium, and I'm feeling nostalgic.
Oh.
No, serious.
It's gone, Jamster.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Maybe I personally feel we need more debating, especially amongst our politicians.
On
real topics.
Yeah, I really do believe that as well. I think that
champion that.
Yeah.
I gotta say, there was something about Bastia High that Bastia High had something about the building. It had a lot of character.
Yeah, because the other schools will come to the auditorium and use it, because that was this school with the auditorium for some reason. Yeah, because I remember a lot of debating competition. When you look at,
you went to Bastia High, huh?
I went to the Washington Archibald High School.
Oh, so you didn't go to Bastia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you look at debates, because
you poor soul.
No, I'm a proud student graduate, of the former student of the Washington Archibald High School. Yes. Chev, you went to
Sandy Point High.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go to Bastia High?
No. I'm a real full Sandy Point, and I even born there. All schooling. I came to town when I did sixth form. CFP.
I can't relate to you guys. None of you guys went to Bastia. It's like you guys are like aliens.
We don't have any Stormers in here.
I mean, see, the thing is, like I figured this out a long time ago. You get much more attached to, at least back then, you got much more attached to Bastia High than you would junior high, as it used to be called. And because you were only there for 2 years, really.
Yeah.
And then, but then you get this attachment to Bastia High.
But you know what?
That endures,
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, I was talking to a couple persons about it as well. All of us, let's not all, because that's too general. Many of us went to CFBC. And CFBC has students from all the other high schools. Yet, persons don't identify themselves with CFBC as much as they would identify themselves with their high school.
I think you were more immersed in high school.
You quicker,
CFB had a different schedule.
Yeah, you quicker would think about high school.
Yeah.
And rather than, even though that's a melting pot, the CFBC is a melting pot. When you bring all of them together, the kind of push, everyone goes there, but it doesn't, for everyone going there, basically almost everyone going there, a large number of persons going there, it doesn't get the same push and spirit drive that you get from a high school.
And everybody on different schedules too. Like in high school, you're all together.
But also you're there longer for more years.
Yeah, that's true too.
I guess much of your formative years as well, because that's when you go through puberty. That's when you really start to.
I don't have any attachment to what they now call Washington Archibald High School. It's only there for 2 years, whereas the Bastia High School, it will always be surreal for me to
Washington Archibald High School was Bastia Junior High School cannot be the same as Washington Archibald High School.
Exactly. But I imagine if you're there for 3-4 years, like now, people know, because it's a full high school, it's probably different for people.
Yeah.
Except when you consider the fact that the school is being moved around a lot. I mean, because of some of the issues they've had,
Really
I mean, with that they have the kind of temporary campus now.
Yeah.
And so, but like I said, it will always be a surreal experience to
You sound like you had a really good high school experience.
Yes, I did. I don't know what it. I don't know what it is.
Mine was so.
It's so surreal going down Park Range, East Park Range, and seeing that land. You have no idea how mind bending that is.
Well, you see, for us at Washington Archibald High School, well, when I was there, it was more that the school was new. A lot of things were for the first time, you understand? So we became, even though I wasn't a part of the first set of students graduating, my class probably was like the 5th or something like that, right? And so you're still creating that character, you're still creating that school, that image that is going to live on for time to come. And so during that time, we had a lot of teachers, pushing, motivating, instilling in us that, persons before said that the school was, a war zone, Vietnam, and that we're going to show them that, good things can come from the Washington Archibald High School. And it was that kind of constant sort of pushing, that we got.
Well, we had all the great teachers too. I mean, Stanley Knight. I had the 3 Knights as teachers. Imagine. I can't even think of anybody. He's the first one that comes to mind because he was a big part of my Basta High School thing.
Chef, who did you have down at the Sandy Point?
Of course, we had Mr. Hart.
Raphael Archibald. Raphael Archibald. I got licks from him twice, but I still feel like he's one of. I feel like most of us, when we talk about him, he was like our favorite. We all compare the principals and we all said Raphael was good. He was,
we had, of course, the famous Mr. Hodge.
So you were the time with Mr. Hodge.
Yeah, and we also had Mr. Fraser was good. We had
Mr. Vaughan.
We actually had Mr. Elliott
Elliott
for English.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. You guys in the country you were lucky to have him. Right? Yeah.
I don't know if it's luck, but.
No, but he was a good English teacher, wasn't he?
I didn't find him to be that good. I found that he just came to class and he just wrote notes. We had a double board, and he literally just stood and wrote notes from one board over to the next and then wiped it off without asking.
Notes for English?
Yeah, that's all we did. We wrote notes, and then he would tell us how, bad we are and the children in Barbados better than us. Every day.
Really?
He was a character, can I say? A lot of people have very fun memories. No, we do. There was no interaction. Just
we had some good teachers. That probably had a lot to do. We had a lot of good teachers.
Well, that's good. That's good. I can name there's moments in my schooling, of course, that stand out and that I really enjoyed, but overall, it wasn't. Like, how some people that's the best time of their life? No, when I got my freedom, I was more introverted, so I was more interested in the arts and in reading and stuff like that. So I wasn't into a lot of the pomp and the different things that people associate with it. Didn't do much for me, so I was the nerd over here. So my experience was a little different. It wasn't bad though, but it wasn't I don't miss it. I want to go back to high school. Never.
Yeah, for me, I cherish the moments, but no moment that I have passed do I ever feel like going back.
Yeah. You too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I don't
Guys,
people I don't ever feel like I miss.
I don't know. I don't know.
To go forward.
Guys, I want to ask y'all. I don't know if I had brought up this. If I had gone this far last week when we were talking about the high school thing and so. I mean the sports thing, the inter-school. Is it a crazy idea, right? To just mark out the 400-meter field in the Basta High School grounds and have the sports day? Is that a crazy idea? We have 10 minutes? I would love the callers to call us and tell us. I mean, I don't see that. I mean, is that a crazy idea?
Well, one has to look at the condition of the play field and whether the play field is in a suitable condition, and if not, because I don't think he's been used for it. Well, don't think he hasn't been used for a number of years. So one has to look at the condition of the field and then.
But I don't think that would be hard to mark out and maybe get the pit ready.
I mean, it's an idea.
Yeah, I just thought about it.
One would have to look at how practical it would be, given the expenses and what would be needed.
Yeah.
Those we need some persons who are experiencing the sporting arena to give suggestions
I would
and
like
stuff
to think
like that.
Okay, if people are gonna have misgivings about all the issues that have been cataloged, I would like to think, one, okay, you're outdoors. I don't think that would be an issue. And I also think, I also think that that maybe I got the impression that they moved out. They dug up a lot of the subterranean stuff that may have been responsible for some of the problems that they had. Okay, I think AZ has to leave us. So sorry, folks. I'm gonna have to beat him up and take away that flask. I like that flask. He didn't hear me, right?
No.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that idea?
I mean, it's something that people have to look into. If outside the government, if people look and try to find solutions, it always helps. I like that you actually were thinking about that.
Yeah, I thought about. I said, well, there's no reason why they couldn't, and I think it would be a lot easier logistically because all you have to do is bring in the porta potties.
Can I ask a question? When we talk about sports, we always talk about the track and field. But what about the other sports too?
No, but this is just in reference to the fact.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It just got me thinking. I'm like, when I see the big, massive uproar about it, I was like, yeah, it should be. But what about other sporting events? I'm wondering, will we ever have swimmers?
Thank you. This is something I talk about all the time.
I think there's a group that does swimming.
Yeah,
but it's very small.
But I've been saying for years that I feel like swimming is a sport that should be actioned as part of our sporting development because I feel like we would do very well there as well if the necessary what's the word? The necessary
people.
Well, if the investment is made.
Yeah. I'm thinking again, I have nothing against track and field. It's just
no,
much. Cause my brother is a track
all
and
of the
field
above.
athlete. He does very well, but there's so many other.
It's just that
things.
whenever, and this again is another thing where when you bring it up, people come up with all kind of reasons why. Pools are expensive and it's hard.
And we got so much.
And no, but you don't have a specific pools for competitive swimming because they have to be a certain size and all the equipment that comes with it, the timing equipment and the training, I really feel that it's something that should have been actioned a long time ago.
Yeah, some I think some private not private parents, but parents have kind of started their own private movement with us. So I know we do have a swim team, and they went to represent the other day with some young children.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised no one's called about that. Because I was thinking about it last week. I said, well, I'm sure someone may have even thought of it. Might have been an idea that they may have thought about, and maybe they thought it best not to do it for whatever reason.
I just wish that. I mean, again, track and field has been around for a lot longer, but we have a lot of other artistic forms of expression, the other disciplines, other types of sports. And, when I look at our population now, we don't have that much athletes like runners, but we do have a lot of kids that are into entertainment.
But it's funny you would say that because I heard that a lot of kids made the character times.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, in the general population, if you went to school, you could probably sit and count out the athletes in your class. And I feel sometimes that we only, besides academics, we only look at sports. And I'm glad that we look at sports. But what about the arts? What about the other areas? I have a lot of kids who do really well there. So I just some attention on that too.
I feel like calypso and even soca and pan should be in the schools and dance and all these other things for real. Because I mean I was reading, after Marshall won that crown, I was reading some think pieces and so, and I remember I was following a thread on Twitter where it seems a lot of people were upset that he won.
Yeah.
But then some people were saying, well, I mean, the art form is dying, and to have someone like Marshall going in, it's probably a good thing for the art form, because kids who look up to him would look to him and say, well,
Calypso is a thing
Calypso,
still.
yes, exactly. And because that is a big problem here as well.
Yeah.
People don't think of Calypso as cool.
I feel like people get used to having it to themselves, and when they see outsiders coming in, they want to kind of gatekeep, similar to what's happening
Will
with
you consider Marshall an outsider?
But to them, because he's too good. No, not outsider from the culture, but he's not typically, since his childhood days, he has been in the soca
thing,
and the different type of music.
But you hear what the song says. Calypso is the mother.
Yeah, that's why he
soca,
he anticipated it where he sing the song too. But it's similar to country music now, like you see the big rockers they have.
With Beyonce. Did we talk? We didn't talk
No,
about
we
it.
touched
I had wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
But it's not even just her. There's this other artist. I can't remember her name. She's doing very well, and she gets so much trashing.
You mean Mickey Guyton, right?
I think that's her name.
Yeah,
like
black
a
girl,
black
right?
girl, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she gets so much fight down in there. Because some people feel like country music is just for whites. And I'm like,
country music was originated by black people, and here we go again. And then these people open their mouths and end up looking stupid, right?
Yeah, and it's
like
it's
that guy from Dukes of Hazzard. What's his name? John Schneider.
What did he say?
He's the one that got the ball rolling, because he said some very ignorant things. So saying he compared Beyonce to a dog marking its territory, meaning she don't want to come and take over.
That's what they keep saying.
But no, he's been put in his place because Beyonce is from Texas.
Exactly.
He's from New York. Yeah, and he and apparently he tried his hand at country singing too, but he's from New York. She has, I mean, if he wants to go down that road, she has more right to
exactly.
sing. So let's not even talk about who originated
I think it's like they have this, and even in hockey and ice skating you see it where
they said that hockey was actually started by black people. Apparently
they get very
slaves who moved to I think they said Nova Scotia.
Okay.
A lot of black slaves as part of the Underground Railway.
Yeah. Oh.
Set up by Harriet Tubman and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them escaped to the Eastern Seaboard and then settled in Nova Scotia and places like that. And they were the ones who
had to find something to play.
They were the ones who came up with hockey. But them folks don't like to hear that, right?
I think, and I think it comes back to the fact that maybe they feel like, well, if blacks enter certain arenas, they're going to dominate, which is true.
We will. Yes, absolutely.
That's a phone call.
Yeah. Talk about wrong timing, huh?
Oh.
Yeah, so back to the country thing quickly. Yeah, so, I mean, this guy got himself in trouble, and I kind of understand the manager for the radio station was a small market country station. He said they said they didn't know. They just assumed when somebody called, they was like, why is somebody calling requesting a Beyonce song? They didn't realize that Beyonce had a country album coming.
Yeah.
The album is coming out next month, by the way. Yeah. And then they said they eventually got the song. And they said they always have trouble sometimes because they're in a smaller market. They always have trouble sometimes getting certain songs. But so I actually played the songs this morning. I played the two of them, 16 Carriages.
I was listening to them last night. Yeah.
So it's interesting. Oh, so what Beyonce is doing, her first album, apparently she's doing a series of albums trying to reclaim some of the black music that has been stolen by them folks.
People don't know this about Beyonce, and she gets a lot of flack, right? But Beyonce is probably the most Afrocentric artist I know, with all her lace fronts.
Yes.
Right? She's very, very
What's
Afrocentric.
A lace front?
The wigs. She's the one that brought the wig, the lace front that it kind of melts, Well, they'll say you can't see the I don't see it, but yeah, because it sits and looks like your hairline.
Okay.
Right?
I have no
so
idea.
she
what
brought
you're
that
talking about.
into more popularity and stuff.
Okay.
But she's very, very,
Yeah.
very like
Yes,
if you even
I've
research
noticed.
into her lyrics.
I've noticed, yeah.
She's actually really, really knowledgeable and into a lot of black history and black
Yeah.
stuff. But they just love to hear
I
her.
know. Okay, look, so we're going to continue this morning. It's 10:01. And we had another great morning here on Island Tea.
Yes.
And,
It goes so quickly, eh?
yeah, I know. But we started a little late this morning, but still.
Traffic. Oh
Okay.
God.
Yeah, traffic. Hope no one got injured this morning.
I think we would have heard.
Yeah, we would have heard. Okay, so you have a great day. And I
You
hope
do
I'll see
too.
you. Yeah, I will.
Yes.
All right. That's it, folks.
Bye.